What's happening, everyone? It's been kind of a long time since I've uploaded a video. A lot has happened. I guess the last video I uploaded was that we bought that J3 Cub, and that was freaking a year ago. But I think the last video I actually uploaded was that the for sale video I did on the EAA biplane. So I had that for a year, sold that, and then just bought a Pits S1C, and a few months ago, and have been flying that quite a lot. And I figured I'd start uploading videos by doing a little walk around of this airplane, and I've got quite a few projects I'm gonna do on it, which I think would be interesting to document. So let's do a walk around of the plane, and then I will kind of fill in what the plan is. All right, so the airplane, as I said before, is a Pits S1C. It has a 150 horsepower Lycoming 0320 and a fixed pitch propeller. So it's a pretty original Pits as they come. It's pretty light for what it is. I think I've got it around 720 pounds as it sits, and I'm going to try and take more weight off of that as I add stuff to it. But I found this airplane in up near just south of Boston in Maine, and went up to look at it. Decided wanted to buy it. Made a deal with the previous owner, and then flew up again with my dad to fly it back. So it's a well-built airplane. You know, I've taken it all apart and looked all through it. It was originally built in 1979 and then rebuilt again in 92, I believe, was the recover on this plane. So the paint the paint is showing its age. It was painted with like some kind of clear coat over the polytone. It's definitely polytone because I've done some fabric repair on it. But they painted a clear coat, and then that clear coat has cracked and dulled. Someone kept this airplane outside for a period of time, which is not great. But overall, the actual fabric is in pretty good shape. It's just the crazing on the clear coat of the paint, which is kind of tough. But overall, it's a nice scheme. It looks good. It's got checkers on the bottom of it. And from, 15 feet away, it looks pretty good. And no weird stuff. This thing is built very much like a plans-built S1C. It's a long fuselage, but it's got the shorter lower wing, like a C would have. The new plans for a C have another bay in that lower wing, and you can see where the C, or the new C, the D, and the S plans all have that lower bottom wing, where the original C's have a shorter wing. I think it's actually a cooler look. I actually prefer it. It's got a Prince carbon propeller with these interesting little tips, and that the thing is propped just perfect. Climbs about 2,500, and then can wind it out to about 2,900. It's got a 3-gallon aux tank up here. Currently it's set up for it's a 3-gallon auxiliary gas tank, but I think it could be set for a smoke tank as well. And moving inside, you have the Pits lightweight, simple, effective vents on either side, and just your basic panel. I went ahead and added that Vans CHT to it, but just the stuff you need to fly. I've been mounting my iPad right there in that quad lock for ADS-B traffic, because there's quite a bit of traffic around the central Maryland area where I fly. Down there you got the mixture. It has a wobble pump for the secondary fuel pump, throttle, and then the fuel gauge, and just a handheld radio. There is no alternator on this airplane, so it doesn't have electric system like a real electronics or electric system on it, and that is one of the things I'm going to change. I don't know if I'm going to add an alternator, but I am going to do a panel upgrade on this airplane, and I think that'd be a cool project to document. Be super fun for me, and I think it would be interesting to follow along for you, because even if you guys are here for the Super Cub build, who doesn't like building a new glass panel for a plane that doesn't need it? Streamlined tail, not flying wires, but tail bracing back here, which is nice. Sometimes you don't have the streamline tail wires. I did change, it had a locking tail wheel, which you unlock and lock to taxi and then lock to land, and that thing just didn't work out, so we changed it to API 6-inch tail wheel. It's traditional deal, and this works really well. It's super responsive. The chains are pretty tight, so if you move the rudder pedals, the plane reacts, and it's a little bit it takes some getting used to, but now that I'm used to it, it's amazing. What else is there to look at on this plane? Full inverted oil and fuel on this plane. Has a flot tube, and then it has a Christian inverted oil system. So no header tank, as some Pits have down there. That's another way of doing an inverted fuel system. There's the breather for the oil system out the back. Has that brace there was a addition, so it has that update, and it also has the brace between the cabine struts here, because that was another added thing. These were both done obviously in '92 when the plane was last refinished. It has this is a sight for doing aerobatics, so this thing is aligned with the center line of the fuselage, and then the level flying attitude of the fuselage, and then you align that to the horizon, and that gives you a gauge looking out. Align it to the horizon. We would be climbing if that thing was aligned with the trees. So it gives you a reference when you're doing when you're in unusual attitudes doing aerobatics. Doesn't have any eye strut fairings. Quite a few washers to get the plane to be in rig. We re-rigged the plane after I got it, so I'm going to be building a couple fairings for that, and I'm going to be building a cabine fairing. I've actually got pretty far through that, but this is the update. I will then later tonight I'll go back and get in the shop and show you the update on the Cub. Not a lot has happened with it, but some stuff has happened with it, and it certainly does look cooler. So that is the update. All right, guys, we're back at the shop. So I don't even think I've made a video since I built the shop, but and that was like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. So built the shop. Used to built the fuselage in the basement, then moved it to the garage to finish weld it, and then moved it down here. Didn't do anything. 30 by 40 shop built a couple years ago to kind of get all my junk out of the house and down into one place. So we can go ahead and walk on in here, and I will show you what is going on with the fuselage. All right, well, there it is, hung up. I had to get it, it's so big, I had to get it out of the way. Haven't really actively been working on it. Since the last video I made, I think, I'll have to go back and check the videos, but I was building these landing gear. So I basically got them built, got the went ahead and bought the Matco wheels and brakes, and then mounted some 31-inch bush wheels on it, and got the whole thing finish welded and assembled, and then got it down here. And I think the last thing so the next thing I need to do is make a spacer and make the torque plate mounting plates that are welded onto that axle. That's why all those bearings are apart, because the things fall out unless they have there's a plate that goes right here that you weld to it, and then the torque plate for the brake assembly goes on that, and then there's a spacer that then spaces the wheel and the axle nut. And then so I hung the plane up. You can see in there the torque tube assembly from Javeron is in there. Can't really get a good view of it. There it is. That's just set in there. And then what else did I do? I don't know if I've documented the build out that I did of the spring. The spring is kind of not going to work. I made that of a leaf spring, but I think I'm just going to get a PA18 spring. And then there's a Matco bush tail wheel. That actually I think is going to work. I did a couple flights with the EAA biplane with a T6 tail wheel from Matco on it, and that breakout assembly works pretty well. I was pretty happy with it, so I think that'll work that'll be final piece that'll be on the airplane. Beyond that, not a lot has happened. I think I started to build a titanium seat for the front seat, and I think I documented that, but haven't shown that. And then, I think the next thing I'm going to do when I do get working on this thing is get it so I can raise and lower it and keep it out of the way when I'm not working on it would be nice, because it's still not quite there. It's going to be hard to get the thing down. But if I could get to a point where I could easily get it down, maybe hook it to a little winch or something, that'd be cool. And then, I have all the fittings for the fuselage, so I have all the parts to basically finish all the bracketry on the fuselage and start bolting the more expensive stuff on it. And so I'm at the point where this project where I have a bunch more parts, I have a bunch more material and parts and work that I need to do before I need to spend any more money on it. I just have to have the time to do it. So the shop is 30 by 40, one of those carport companies that show up and assemble the building, and then I had it all spray insulated. And works really well. I heat and cool the whole thing with a 12,000 BTU mini split, which is super efficient and keeps it tolerable in here. And then one of our businesses, we restore and rent these Westfalia Volkswagen vans. So the shop is about half Volkswagen repair and restoration, and then half, the other half is just tools and workshops. There's the big assembly table that I built the fuselage on, and I'm currently working on some Pits fairings and a trim tab and a tail beacon X mount for the Pits. So that'll give me transponder and ADS-B in the tail beacon X, and it weighs like 3.5 pounds or 3.5 ounces, so it's extremely light. So those are all projects I think I'm gonna make videos on as I gather more video as I build them out. But that's kind of what has been distracting me, is building the cabine fairings and all the little projects with the Pits. Here's my Cub, the Great Plains 90 size Cub hanging up there, and all the various woodworking tools that I have in here. The shop's kind of a mess, and then there's a pretty big mezzanine with a bunch of junk up there. Yeah, that's kind of the update from what I'm flying to what I'm building, and I'm hoping to pull this thing down once I get the projects done on the Pits and start start working on it, because I do want to continue with it. It's just been, I've been more distracted by the flying airplanes that I've had lately. All right, talk to you guys soon.